Got a grip, right? Look at the way he gets on 3 legs, just so he can get an inch or 2 higher.
Yeah.
In this particular species, which is called a Vincina species, you really get to see why his shell is shaped up like this. It allows him to reach his head very high to eat off the tops of the trees, off the tops of the bushes. Galapagos tortoises, like we saw over there, flare up. And so they can't reach their head up as high, and they feed off the ground.
Okay, that
So
makes sense.
he can feed off of the high trees, well, the bushes. And that's why he gets his leg up there, and he has that little flare up on the end of his tail. The shell.
Can you have this whole thing?
Yeah.
Okay. Ugh, okay.
It's bite and swallow. They have a beak like a bird. They don't have teeth, but that look close, it's a serrated beak. It's very, very sharp. Good job.
Thanks.
Hands. Somebody else want some?
You know what? Nick. No, Nick, go feed him.
Okay, let's grab another head.
Come on, you have to
I'll
feed
do
him.
the end pieces.
Yeah, okay.
Video. We'll see everybody that came down together. Yeah, you can get closer too. Yeah. I'm going to send you the video. It won't come out so
Okay.
good because you're looking into the sun, and so that it'll show. It won't show so great. There we go. We can put a little music to this.
Yeah.
You know? I like the crunch. I like the sound, you know? So, any questions?
No?
You know where tortoises come from, right? Evolutionary wise?
No.
It's a lizard that lives in the ground. It tunneled in the ground 200 and something million years ago. And what it was trying to do was get deeper and deeper in the ground to get protection. So what they did was they developed these hind legs that could anchor themselves better in the hole so they could dig deeper. And then what happened was over time, their ribs started to flatten out and spread out until they touched each other. And then that formed the carapace over the top, and the same thing on the bottom.
Wow.
So as they become heavier, they became slower, and they had to evolve even more armor plating, and they had to develop the ability to pull their head inside the shell so that they couldn't be eaten. So it's a completely defensive type of idea. So when they were attacked, just like in Africa today, if a lion attacks a tortoise, he'll pull his head and everything inside the shell, and the lion will eventually give up because it's too hard to get inside. And they don't want to spend that much energy to try to eat a small tortoise.
Yeah.
So that's a defensive mechanism that they've created, and they've been very successful. This animal is unchanged since about 205 million years ago.
Wow.
This design, what we call the modern tortoises. And by unchanged, I mean they have the ability to pull their head inside their shell, they can pull all their legs inside their shell, and they have a beak. The older animals, some of them didn't have a plastron, and some had teeth in the beak. And some couldn't pull their head in. Some had a long tail with a club on it. And that's what you see when you go back 230, 240 million years ago, is the predecessor evolutionary-wise to the modern-day Galapagos tortoise. But what's really interesting, this design has been so successful, if you think about it. The meteor hit the Earth 66 million years ago, wiped out 75% of life on Earth, and they're one of the survivors of the mass extinction. So it really shows you, their abilities that they have. They're amazing. That tough ability they have is one of the things that has almost driven them to extinction. If you think back to the pirates and the mariners and the whalers would go to the islands and collect these animals and
Yeah.
put them in the ships. And they actually built the ships special, so they had a hull inside, and they would put each tortoise in a separate hole. And they would sail around the world, and they would slaughter these animals for food. But the animals can live a year without food or water. So that was the reason they were so successful in their history and their ability to survive. But it's also the same thing that almost drove them to extinction, because man came along and took
Yeah.
advantage of their, took advantage of that ability that they have. But it's really amazing. If you look back a few years ago, there was an Aldabra tortoise that was in Madagascar. You know where Madagascar is?
Yeah.
Southeast Africa island. He was at the shore and he got caught up in the waves. They sent boats out to look for him. They couldn't find him. 6 months later, he lands up on the western coast of India. Lands up and he starts walking around. He's covered in barnacles. He lived out on the ocean in the Indian Sea for 6 months, no food, no water.
Wow.
He floats with his head above the air,
That's crazy.
you know. And you think about it, we can't send a ship out there today
Yeah.
without it getting lost. He survives for 6 months, you know. So really an incredible design. They're smart. They have great memories. They have very good eyesight and a sense of smell. And they have terrible hearing. They don't hear very well. But they do have one thing. Just like an elephant can hear subsonic frequencies, like an elephant can hear another elephant 20 miles away.
Oh, wow.
And tortoises can hear the ground vibrate. They can actually hear you walking up to them because they're so heavy and they have so much touching the ground. Just like a train track, they can feel that vibration. So, you know, that's another ability that they have.
Yeah.
Actually, I do have a question.
Yeah.
How did you get into all of this?
That's kind of a long story. You know, I was a kid. I think I was 7 years old. My parents took me to someplace up, and I grew up out on the island, out on Long Island. So he took me somewhere that was a zoo, and there was a giant statue. I think it was a statue. And I was fascinated by them. I just never saw something so big, and I just got really interested in them. And so I would study them, and I always wanted them. And I remember, it's kind of a crazy story, because I remember when I would tell kids in school, someday I'm going to get a big tortoise like that. They were laughing. You can't get a tortoise like that. They cost a lot of money.
Yeah.
So then I thought, I got to figure out a way to make a lot of money. So it was always an inspiration for me to do something to get that dream that I wanted. And then later on, people told me, you can't get them anymore. It's only a zoo can have them.
Yeah.
And you know what I thought? How am I going to get a zoo? And that's how it happens. You know, you have that passion, and that passion drives you. You always encounter problems why you can't keep them. They're too expensive. You don't have enough room. They get sick. Whatever it is. And just through my life, I always found a way to overcome those difficulties.
Yeah.
Just like I was saying, they can get sick. Well, then I ended up studying vet medicine for 30 years with the tortoises, and I do a lot of my own work. I take blood, I anesthetize them, I do my own parasitology work, a whole lot of stuff. And it's just because I've studied and I've learned and I've read and I have hands-on experience with those animals. So, you know, it's another thing that I get in my way, you know.
That's awesome.
So it's great. It's great to see, because sometimes young people will come to the farm and you can see that spark go off. No, it's really true. And then I've had a lot of people that come back. They were kids,
Yeah.
and they went on to be a doctor. They went on to work in the zoo field. They went on to be veterinarians and stuff like that. Some of them actually come back. They're friends today. But they started here when they were 6 years ago, when they were 6 years old. So it's taken me all around the world. It's been my life. It's been my passion.
It's amazing. Babe, give him the lettuce. He knows it's there.
Yeah, he's not going to let you.
He was already eyeing you. He's like, I know.
Smell it.
Huh?
Smell it. You don't. Yeah. Take a video from his angle.
Okay.
I'm just going to sit here for a second. I can't stand that long.
want me to feed him? Can I have video for her too? Oh. Yummy!
Now you can just feed him another 20 or so.
Yeah.
That'll be his mid-morning snack.
Just the snack.
Is that why you moved down to Florida? So you can have.
No, it was not the initial reason. Really, when I moved down to Florida is when the whole thing kind of went crazy. But I had tortoises up in Long Island as well.
Oh.
I just hadn't.
Keep them there.
Well, I didn't have galops and aldabras,
Oh, okay.
box turtles, and well, that's where the whole thing started. It took a while to get all of the animals. I was always very successful, but I was in other business. I was in security cameras. I was in satellite TV. I was in electronics, and this was just hobby gone crazy. Okay, another volunteer.
Yes.
After a little lunch, okay, just hit him with that hose. That's it. Watch that.
He's got the lettuce in his mouth. It's the life.
He's living the life.
It's the life.
Go ahead, go all the way around. Then do his neck.
Hey, don't you want to do him? He said go all the way around and do his neck.
Go over this way. It makes a better video.
Okay, don't go this way. Yeah.
Yeah, that's priceless.
His eyes are closed. He's so cute.
Like, any pressure is okay? Like,
Yeah, his neck. You see him reaching up a little bit more now? You see that extra little stretch?
okay, don't come back.
Oh my god. Their legs are my favorite, elephant legs.
Get wet down there.
Yeah.
No, he's still holding on to the greens. Oh, he's got his mouth open, so water's going in there. But here, look, you can actually rub his face, get his face all clean. Go ahead, you can feel his skin, you can feel his eyes, his nose, see his nose, how soft it is, like a dog.
Oh my god.
Yeah, he's actually got a very soft nose. You're still holding on to the lettuce because you don't want to let it go.
He's like, I'm saving that for later.
Yeah, they have a circulating eyelid that goes from left to right. So three eyelids, an upper, a lower, and a one that goes across.
That's like clear out sand and stuff? Or like, what is that for?
Yeah, it's just because of the extra dirty environment. They live on volcanic islands and a lot of sand and dirt and bugs and stuff like that. So they'll sometimes close that eyelid and still be able to see because it's clear. Anybody else?
It's a great time. Maybe after that we could get like a family photo of them. A photo of everybody.
Oh, good idea.
Because he stays still.
Marion's got a good idea. Why don't we get everybody behind? Let's take a look at Bernie over here.
Yeah.
Watch this guy. Watch when he sees us. Keep recording there. Here he comes. He sees us coming. Watch. Go ahead. Go around the back. Go around the back. And then rub the top of his shell. Watch what happens. Just rub the top of his shell. That's it. That's it. Whoop. There you go. Now, if you can, what you do is go down on one knee and then keep your left hand go, and on the right hand underneath his neck. That's it. That's when you really see how big they really are.
Yeah.
You know, because they're laying down when they're on the ground. They're really not actually standing.
That's crazy.
So I've raised him from a hatchling. So he's 39 years old. I used to walk around with him like this
You're my age.
in my hand, just a little hatchling like that.
84?
Yeah, 1984.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's her age too.
Yay, we're the same age. Oh man.
What's the like life expectancy?
It's 200, 250 years. It's just incredible. It's like thinking about how big the universe is,
Yeah.
you know? So, here, this little girl here is 105. She still lays eggs at 105.
And it's for males and females. It's like the same, like 200 years.
Yeah, yeah.
Don't.
So, Mary, I'll tell you what. Let's
that
go
one, that
back
one.
to the professor. Let's get some greens and let's let them feed some.
Oh really?
Yeah, this guy right here rammed me, and I didn't know. I mean, he attacked me from behind. He almost knocked me down.
Oh my gosh.
Force feel like, I guess, like you. How's it feel?
It feels like you got hit by a car.
Yeah.
You know, he doesn't. The funny thing is they don't move very fast, but he snuck up on me like this. He waited for the last second, and then he charged. So they can travel this far very quickly, and they have a lot of force. That's how they break the boards. They'll just kind of cock themselves back, and then they launch themselves forward, and they'll just break the boards. They'll split them. So they're not very fast, but they have so much horsepower. They have so much torque, you know. The females are gentle. He's getting a little rambunctious there, huh? He's probably eating something he's not supposed to be eating in there.